My name is Reverend Dr. Barry King, and I'd like to speak to you a little bit today about the power of mind, the quantum power of spiritual awareness. Healing, manifestation, and spiritual awakening are grounded in a single, simple truth, and that is that your mind, is the architect of reality. Everything we perceive, everything we struggle with, and everything that we transform originates first as a movement of consciousness. Modern quantum physics has simply given us a language for what mystics, healers, and spiritual healers and teachers have known for thousands of years, that the universe is not built of matter, but of awareness, consciousness, expressing itself through form. In every healing experience I have ever witnessed, this principle has proven itself again and again. I have watched bones realign, pain dissolve, vision return, and long held emotional burdens released in moments. Yet, I have never attributed these miraculous events to me, because the true power does not come from me, it comes through me. It is consciousness, divine consciousness, our consciousness, working through me. And in essence, it arises from the individual themselves, their own belief, their own willingness and readiness to receive healing. Many years ago, a woman came to me, not for healing actually, but to have a reading. And her jaw was terribly misaligned. There had been some surgery that had happened to her, and it had affected her jaw so that it was greatly deformed. And as I was doing the initial healing, which I used to do before all my sessions, I watched that jaw fall back into place. And it was kind of startling, actually. But her jaw was back to normal. And when I talked to her about it, she told me that it had been over 4 years that this had been like this. And it had come from surgery she had had, where they cut a nerve and it affected the jaw itself, and it was terribly misaligned. And that they told her there was nothing that could be done about it. And so she had lived with it. And here she could feel that it was kind of back to the way it was. And so we did the session and she went home. And she called me all excited because it was back to normal and she could brush her teeth for the first time, really, in 4 years. And I suggested to her that she come back for a couple of short sessions just to make sure it stayed. And she did. And about 10 years ago, she called me and she said, I just want to let you know that my jaw is still fine, that it's okay, and it didn't go back. So the power of belief, the power of healing, the power of consciousness can do miraculous things. I have seen people walk into my reading room with diagnoses that weighed heavily on their minds and bodies, only for them to leave with no trace of the illness. And these are not isolated stories. They are part of a universal pattern that transcends culture, religion, and techniques. These events of miraculous healing are something that do happen. And it doesn't just happen because we decide we want it to happen, but it is happening every day. And we're only beginning to understand it. Healing is an expression of belief. When a person is healed by another's touch, presence, or intention, the healing is the result of three minds participating together: the mind of the one receiving, the mind of the one offering healing, and the mind of the divine itself, the conscious field in which everything exists. Quantum physics calls this field the quantum field. I call it the divine. I call it God. Spiritual intention, divine awareness. But the language doesn't really matter. What matters is that this consciousness permeates everything: the air, the space between atoms, the thoughts we think, and the cells of the body. The universe is conscious, aware, responsive, and inherently creative. We live within this consciousness and are expressions of it, shaped by intention and belief. We are an expression of divine intention. The body is a reflection of mind, and the mind is non physical, eternal, and unlimited. So when a person receives healing, what is really happening? It is that the belief that healing is possible is there. It is that the belief that the healer can help them and make it happen is there. And the healer becomes a bridge, a focusing point for the shift in consciousness. The moment belief aligns with intention, the universe responds. Miracles happen. Things change.